the moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
You know, for $10 more, I own Raya on Disney Plus, and I can just rewatch it whenever I want to.
Yeah.
But here, it's like I got a 48-hour window. If I want to watch it 5 times in a row, then be my guest. But after that, then you should be able to watch it like 5 times regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Each time something pops up, it's like, all right, you got 3 more viewings or whatever.
Or 30 days, like a month. Give 30 days.
Yeah. I mean, with the $2.99 rentals, I get it. But yeah. But whatever.
Agreed.
We are not. So the powers that be, if they're listening, make that happen.
So are we in now? Can we start the show? Yeah,
we are. We're always in. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Another week. Yes, indeed. If you notice a slight difference in my volume here, I am sequestered away in my Adirondack retreat. We've been out searching for Sasquatch. Yeah,
TMI pays for quite a bit, if you're curious.
I'm on another expedition here. So I've been going down this rabbit hole, which I've been listening to this new podcast. I think it's called Destination Sasquatch. And these 2 guys like literally quit their jobs to full-time research Bigfoot. And all I can think of is, imagine that conversation with your wife. It's like, honey, you know that money I bring in every month? Yeah.
How can we get that gig? I would like to full-time research Bigfoot or Nessie or any of those.
And my wife, and in talking with my wife, I said, these guys go out, they live in Washington, the state of Washington, which is, hotbed for Bigfoot sightings anyways. And they opened a store in Walla Walla that sells a lot of Bigfoot style paraphernalia or whatever. And they go out and they research. And I said, I would like to go out there and just like spend a week with these guys. And
so this is basically the guy from Harry and the Hendersons, but 2 guys instead of 1.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But they do sound like they know what they're doing. They're talking about. And my wife said that if I wanted to spend my 3rd week vacation out squatching, then she's all for it.
Just give them 10 years and then they'll be disheartened, just like the guy in the movie.
Don't say that. They're so close. He's right there. And the thing is that they're like, listen, we, people laugh at us because we, you believe. He's like, no, we don't believe. We know these are out there. And I'm like, these guys have sold me. They claim he's out there. So.
But he's very savvy. He knows where to go. He knows where to go and where to stay away from. So
that's right. Humans. Maybe he'll be listening to the show though. Maybe he's sitting out in the woods right now and he's like, oh, look, these guys.
Maybe they have a whole society that has their own tech.
Wookiees, is that what we're talking about now?
Stuff that's just well beyond our scope of understanding.
That's right. They just live nomadic lives just to kind of hide the tech that they're burrowing underground.
Yeah, it's like the Star Wars holiday special every day out in the
woods. Lumpy and itchy.
In Kashyyyk.
There you go. So 5 minutes in and we're already in the cryptid rabbit hole.
Yes, we are.
Which has nothing to do with today's episode.
Absolutely not. Well, sort of. If you look at our second feature in a certain light.
In a certain light? Is he a cryptid?
Well, maybe his motivations are a bit cryptid.
Yes, indeed. It's funny. I after watching both of these, I'm like, Orca might have been a slightly better movie to pair up because it is a slightly better movie.
Slightly.
We'll get into it, but it's not. I don't remember. It wasn't quite as bad as I remember.
No. If you're completely clueless at this stage, what we're talking about is first the film Nobody, which is a brand new movie to streaming anyway. It's been out in theaters for maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. starring Bob Odenkirk, a very John Wick-esque.
Oh yeah, it's written by the guy who wrote the John Wick, and he wrote all the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episodes.
Really? I didn't know that.
Same guy. It's Derek Kolstad.
Oh, okay. So yeah, familiar name.
Yeah, obviously he like I said, it is very John Wickish. And we've talked about it would have been a perfect pairing, probably too spot on a pairing. But we want Christina to be involved in that. And obviously, if you don't realize yet, she is not with us this week.
Correct.
So,
but she will be back. She'll be back soon.
Yes, but we cannot talk John Wick without Christina. So,
and the second feature today is going to be Jaws: The Revenge.
So yeah, we really dove shallow into this pool. We went from one extreme to the other. Well, it's a good revenge movie we can pair this up with. I know, Jaws: The Revenge.
Because if you're familiar with John Wick, that is a revenge pot boiler, and nobody goes along the same route. So yeah, we were looking along those lines and came up with Jaws: The Revenge. Known in some circles as Jaws 4. The more popular title is Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh, I thought it was Jaws the Worst.
Now, this is often maligned as one of the worst movies of all time. And I don't know if I would go that far.
I think next week's might be the worst.
If you're wondering what that is, we'll get to that at the end of this episode.
We'll get there. We do have some news items. So before we dive into Nobody, maybe we can touch on some of the stuff. Let's go. Last week, we actually brought up the fact that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was cast in this Indy 5, which apparently is still in production. And now they just added Mads Mikkelsen.
He is a great bad guy. If anybody out there has ever seen the show Hannibal, surprisingly good take on the character.
Yeah, this might seem a little shallow to me, but I have a hard time watching him. He's very off-putting to me to watch, and I'm not really sure why. But maybe that is because he kind of plays.
That's why he's a great bad guy, right? Maybe, that's what you want in a bad guy.
Puts me on edge. But is he going to be a bad guy in this? Who knows?
I assume so. He was Casino Royale. He was the baddie in that James Bond film.
With the golds. No, diamonds. There were diamonds encrusted in his face.
No. That was Die Another Day. That was somebody else. He had tears of blood coming out of one of his eyes. That's what it was. Yeah.
That's what happens whenever I look at him.
And also Doctor Strange, of course. The first Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. Another issue with his eyes.
Yeah. He didn't play Doctor Strange. Please, all you Marvel people. He was in Doctor Strange.
Listen, we throw out enough wrong information as it is. So, but it's funny because, we bring up this Indy 5 and the fact that, Harrison Ford's 78 years old. And it's like, I don't want to see a saggy old man. Did you see pictures of him? He just did some bike tour from Tijuana to Cabo San Lucas. He's super ripped.
Is he really?
Yeah, you got to see these pictures. His forearms are just massive. And I'm
but is he any less grumpy?
Probably even more so. Because now he's got to work out, right? So, but yeah, there is a picture. Maybe I'll pull it up and throw it on Instagram. But he did this bike tour. Apparently, this is like 1,000-mile trek. He probably just showed up at one. They took a couple pictures. He rode down the street, jumped into a limo, and then they drove him to the other end, and he got out and walked his bike to the little gate. Or
since it's Harrison Ford, he probably flew his plane.
Oh, that is true. He probably just jumped into a plane. So that's still going strong. We did lose been in a lot of movies, this poor man. Felix Silla. Do you recognize the name at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. 84. This gentleman just passed away, but he played Newok. Obviously, I just mentioned he played Twiki in the Buck Rogers TV show. He was Cousin It in the original Addams Family TV show. 65, 66. Under the Rainbow, Spaceballs. He was in Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, which we actually reviewed. So I'm assuming that he played one of the little creatures. HR Puff and stuff. He was big time with the Sid and Marty Krofft. And then get this, he was in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, we brought this movie up like every week now.
We just need the perfect pairing for it at this point. We know that we're going to cover it someday.
Maybe when Indy 5 comes out, we could pair it up with snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes? So anyways, he did pass away. So unfortunately, we've lost another in our nerd universe. Finally, the only other news item I have, Black Panther 2, they have released the working title. and I don't quite get this. This was Hollywood Reporter. So it's being filmed under the title Summer Break.
It
So
sounds like a Spider-Man movie.
but
right?
it's a fake. So the working title, go back to Return of the Jedi, because you don't want people at this point. Star Wars was the biggest thing on the planet. So you're not going to say, oh yeah, we're filming a new Star Wars movie. You're going to make it a title that nobody has any interest in. So it filmed under Blue Harvest. They even had taglines and they had jackets made. I think it was horror beyond imagination or whatever was the tagline for it. And so when somebody came across the filming, they had no interest. They walk away. So all these movies now operate with these working titles. Why are you telling me this? So now I'm going to go. So Summer Break, if I stumble across this and they're like, oh no, we're filming some coming of age romp, Summer Break. Yeah. Okay. No, it's Black Panther 2. And then they released all these other movies and their working titles. So Thor: Love and Thunder is being filmed under the title The Big Salad. We have
this is bizarre because, all right, so you do have the scenario with Blue Harvest where you're trying to keep something secret,
right?
But there's the other option of just maybe not wanting to reveal the actual title yet. But then why go through the motions of making a fake title when you have Black Panther 2 already?
Right. Correct. Yes. Yeah. So I actually read the article thinking I was going to get the title for Black Panther 2, and no. If they release it and it's called Summer Break, I'm not watching it. It's just T'Challa chilling on the beach.
And the Thor one really doesn't make sense because they already have the real title for that.
Yeah. So, but like Captain Marvel 2 is filming under Goat Rodeo. Why are you telling me these? Why are these even available for me to know? And it just Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Hot Christmas. And then you finally have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is being filmed under Dust Bunny. So now I'm going to go search for all these productions.
Yep. And show up on set.
Yeah.
Oh, I read it on Hollywood Reporter. Here I am.
Right. Yeah. Just who comes up with these names? And do they have jackets? Again, do they have
I know.
Crew gear with hats and jackets? Yeah, we're filming Dust Bunny. I can't wait for Dust Bunny 2. So that is all the news I have. It's a very light week.
I don't have anything to add to
nothing
today.
Right.
No.
Then I think we just need to get into this. Nobody. I will say the musical cues in this are superb. I loved this soundtrack. This was very much a surprise because I don't watch Better Call Saul, so I don't know what this guy is doing on screen week after week. But he started, he's a comedy writer.
He's a writer. He started as a writer for Saturday Night Live for several seasons, I think during the Chris Farley, Adam Sandler years, and probably before. And then he moved on to The Simpsons. He was a writer for The Simpsons for the longest time because, I'm rewatching the show now on Disney Plus and you see his name come up all the time. Also, he was on Mr. Show on HBO. Okay. But yeah, Mr. Show was Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, who you may know from Arrested Development and a ton of other movies.
One of my favorites is the fact that he wrote a couple of episodes for Chris Elliott's TV show, very short-lived show called Get a Life.
Yes, I remember.
Brian, I love that show. That show was so off the wall, stupid. But he wrote for that show. So that right there, just like, all right, now I'm in. But yeah, seeing him in this role, and I'm just like, this, like who decided that this guy could be an action star? Like I said, I don't watch Better Call Saul, so I'm not really sure what his character is doing.
Yeah, I haven't caught up. I started with the first 3 seasons of Better Call Saul because I was a big Breaking Bad fan.
No, what kind of a character was he on that? Because
he was just like the comic relief of Breaking Bad. He was the snivelly lawyer that kind of allowed Walter White to launder his money. He was like a really seedy back office kind of a lawyer character. And Better Call Saul is a prequel show that shows how he came to be what he is in Breaking Bad.
Okay. All right. But yeah, to me, this is a leap to put this guy in.
Absolutely.
But then again, Bruce Willis wasn't an action hero when they cast him in Die Hard, right? He was coming off like moonlighting.
True, and that was also a head scratcher. I remember thinking to myself, seeing trailers for Die Hard, this is bizarre, because also Bruce Willis, if you remember, was well known for that folly he made into pop music with his Return
That's
of
right.
Bruno album.
Return of Bruno. I think we all still own a copy somewhere.
Him and Don Johnson probably toured together at some point.
Hey, that would have been a hell of a tour right there. That would have been tickets on the ground.
Getting back to this, yeah, you would never think that this guy would be an action hero, especially in a boots on the ground, fist to the face type movie that this is.
Yeah, and this is, again, I have not watched more than 2 minutes of John Wick, but this is straight up. I'm sure there's probably beat for beat.
So yeah, this really reminded me of the first season of Daredevil. Some of those fights, you're just exhausted. You're exhausted watching them.
Yeah, that's funny. We'll talk about the other fight sequence in the new episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier too, which kind of has that little feel. But this is, yeah, there's some hallway action. There's a lot of this really shocked me. This was I don't really know, I guess, what I was expecting. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
It's video on demand, $20, but it's 4K and it is gorgeous. I mean, you're seeing every pore on this guy's face.
And now, as theaters are reopening, when Godzilla versus Kong dropped, this was also in theaters around the same time.
Yeah.
And this is not that long ago either. It's maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago it showed up in theaters. So it's been sitting in the top 3, top 5 box office listing, and all of a sudden they drop it on Amazon Prime just a couple of days ago. So now it's available for us to watch. Not that we couldn't have gone to the movies, but you
Right.
you got to make your movie viewing selective these days.
Well, I will say that there's a fair amount. Right now, this has got great review. It's a 7.6 on IMDb. And the reviews on there, a lot of people saw it in the theater and were like, this is the perfect movie to go back, to sit in the theater and to just be taken over by this movie.
Maybe we should have full disclosure. I don't think either of us have ever watched John Wick.
No, I just said that.
Here we are saying it's just like John Wick. I've not seen John Wick, though. Written by the same guy. I've seen the trailer. Come on. I kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, we just swap out a cat for a dog.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing here? So, but this was very surprising. I enjoyed it. And I had my brother and sister-in-law showed up last night, and the 4 of us sat and watched this movie, and we all loved it.
There's not much story going on here, and you don't need it.
This is a throwback. This is like a throwback to like those old, again, like the diehards where people are really getting shot and bloodied and, crawling over glass and blowing out windows. And it's very visceral. Like I said, it's in 4K. So, you're right there with him. There's one scene where he gets blown backwards, and as he's laying on the ground, he's all charred. Like he opens his mouth and like smoke comes out. Just the music and editing add so much to this, because like you said, there really isn't much of a plot. We get this opening and you just see this guy day in, day out, mundane existence. He's constantly missing the garbage man. His wife is kind of berating. His kids have no respect for him. And he's just in and out. It's like what we all do Monday, Tuesday. It's the same old, same old.
Yeah, actually, the movie actually shows you titles Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he's doing the same thing.
It's the same thing, which actually comes back to bite him, which is kind of weird, and we'll get into it. But because he had that consistency, the bad guys were able to kind of track him to a certain degree.
But the movie actually, it gives you a little bit more than that, because it opens with him in a police interrogation room.
Yes, correct. You basically start the movie at the end.
So that he's more than he appears to be right up front. So you're kind of not buying into this Groundhog Day existence that you see right after this interrogation scene. But yeah, so he's got a mundane life. His family life is kind of blah. And it seems everybody in his family feels the same way, because they're all just kind of going through the motions. He's got a wife, he's got a teenage son, and he's got a little girl. And one night, his house is broken into by 2 robbers. Now, somebody that's, movie savvy may think, okay, this is going to go in a Death Wish direction, right? They're going to kill his family. He's going to go on some, big revenge trip. And this is what I'm going to be watching for the next 90 minutes. But no, that's not the case at all. The robbers play very little into the plot, if at all.
Right.
It just kind of is what sets him in motion.
So, but it was like a husband and wife, right?
And they're very nervous. They're very young, because you don't know, right away, because you learn who the robbers are a little bit later. They're obviously in dire straits. They're a poor couple that's chosen this house at random.
Yeah.
And so they come in and they have a gun. Bob Odenkirk's name is Hutch in the movie.
Hutch,
So Hutch hears something. He gets up and he's walking around upstairs. And then he checks on his kids and he checks on his teenage son, who also hears something. And his son kind of gives him a look like there's somebody downstairs. Hutch goes down, sees the robbers, in the house. He grabs a golf club as a weapon and kind of sneaks up on him. And as he's clocking the situation here, he's looking to see, what the robbers are doing. They're taking cash, and you can tell that they're not professional. You can see that one of them is a woman, one of them is a man. And suddenly, as he's assessing the situation, his son barrels down the stairs and tackles one of them. So now things have escalated, and the gun comes out. Hutch has the drop on the female robber who has the weapon, and he doesn't take the shot. He is behind her. He is about to hit her over the head with a golf club, and he hesitates. And then
he backs down.
Yeah. But then the son releases the male robber from his tackle. Everybody is, stands back up, and the robbers just leave at that point because they've been spooked, and they leave. So from this point on, I was very uncomfortable because I think before you know who Hutch is, his family for a day or two is very judgmental of him, of not taking that shot with the golf club.
Even the cops kind of gave him crap. And then when they realized that, they broke in using a pizza box to jar the garage door from closing all the way.
Yes, that was interesting. And they blame him for it.
I know, right?
They use a pizza box to break into your house.
No, like I said, even the police are just kind of like, dude, you didn't take the shot, man.
Yeah. But even without knowing what you learn later, what he has seen during this whole incident, the woman has a gun pointed at his teenage son.
Right.
If he took that shot, the gun could have gone off.
But you do learn later, because he has this friend that he talks to through a ham radio, who's played by RZA, and we do see him later, of Wu-Tang Clan. And he says to him, the gun was empty. I could see there was nothing in the barrel. Like he assessed the situation, knew that he really wasn't in danger, but still backed down because I'm assuming he didn't want his son to get hurt, or he just didn't want to go down that road. So, but yeah, the whole family berates him. At one point, the next morning, the son's talking about he needs to do some kind of a report. And the mom's like, why don't you talk to your uncle? He was a real soldier.
He's got to do a report on a veteran, and he wants a real soldier to.
So this is where we learned that he did have military training, but he refers to himself as I was just an auditor. So I wasn't really a soldier per se, that I was out there putting my life on the line, but that is a bit of a lie.
And to add to his mundane life, it appears that he works for his in-laws at their, metal factory.
Metals, yeah. I want to bring up the fact, because the minute the wife shows up on screen, now I've got 3 other people in my house, and they're all like, we know who that is. Who is she? Now I had to pause it and look her up. She played Queen Hippolyta.
Yes,
Wonder Woman.
Connie Nielsen.
So that actually brought me to a screaming
So
halt.
Unfortunately, she is not involved in a lot of the fight scenes, because she would be quite capable of participating, but she is not.
But you also learn later that she knows who he was and what he was capable of. So that backhanded, why don't you ask your uncle? He was a real soldier. It was like a real.
Although you don't get a sense. I never got a sense if she knew exactly who he was. Yeah, but maybe she knew he had a past, but not exactly what he did.
But he brings up the fact at one point when he comes home and he's all broken up and he's got a knife stab in his side or whatever, and she's patching him up, and he's like, this is almost like old times.
So she would also be aware of the fact that he was trying to put that life behind him, which makes me even more upset that she was so judgmental.
No, I know that. But and we make the douchebag neighbor, and he's showing off his 72 Challenger. And the minute I saw this car, I wrote my notes, he's so stealing that car.
I know.
And he did.
And I was hoping that the neighbor would get shot at some point too, but that didn't happen.
No, right? This is the type of movie that if it was a real life, you'd be dead in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like the minute you go out and you're on a bus with a bunch of gangbangers, and but that's not the type of movie this is.
Unfortunately, he's listening to all these people that are browbeating him and that are so judgmental, because he's feeling guilty that he didn't do anything now. And he realizes, he gave the thieves his watch before he realized that their gun was empty.
Yeah.
So they have his watch and they got some cash. They also couldn't find the little girl's kitty bracelet.
Kitty cat bracelet.
Because that was sitting in that, that little petty cash bowl that they had on the table next to their keys. So they assumed that when they grabbed the cash, they inadvertently grabbed that kitty cat bracelet.
And this is what motivates him.
That's what motivates him.
This is what catapults him to friggin' pick up this mantle again, to become this guy.
So what he does remember that while the robbery was taking place, he saw a tattoo on the wrist of, I think it was the girl.
Thunderbird or something.
So he goes to various tattoo parlors to try to track down these two robbers. And there's a hilarious scene where he goes to one where it looks like it's more than a tattoo parlor. It's like a front for some kind of operation.
Yeah, there was some
and there's some heavy guys in there.
Yeah.
So he goes in asking for information about this tattoo design. And they're not happy that he's coming in demanding answers.
He steals his dad's. You find out that his dad is retired FBI agent, played by Christopher Lloyd,
played by Doc Brown.
I see, and he's watching old westerns. And oh my God, it's kind of a nice little nod to Back to the Future 3. But the minute you see him, you're like, he looks like Peter Boyle. It was like, wow. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen him on screen.
Right.
But,
I think he actually turned into his character from Roger Rabbit for this movie.
He's a tune.
He's just missing the swirly eyes, but he had the bald head and everything else.
Yeah. So he's flashing his dad's FBI badge. And the old guy in there immediately says, dude, man, that thing's expired.
So now these heavy guys are really mad that he's coming in there on pretense that he's an FBI agent. So they look like they're going to kill him, right? Yeah. Suddenly, one of the guys sees a tattoo on his arm, on wrist. Hutch's arm, on his wrist, and freaks out, stands up, says, thank you for your service, and leaves the room and locks the door that he goes into.
Yeah. And he was like one of the heavies.
And so that was enough for everybody else to realize, okay, this guy is more than he appears to be. And they give him the information.
So then he tracks down the husband and wife. Give me back the kitty cat charm bracelet.
And then you feel so bad for these two because you see that they're just a poor couple that have an infant
with an oxygen mask
that has health problems. Yeah.
But that's, so again, like that's as far as it goes. Like these characters don't play in anything else beyond that.
No, it just sets him in motion for to face the rest of the movie.
I wanted him to like backtrack and like give them one of the gold bullions or something.
Right.
Just tie that loose end up. So now that this poor couple is still out there trying to breaking into other people's houses just so they can
survive
their sick baby.
But it turns out that they don't have the kitty cat bracelet because they have no idea what he's talking about, but he does get his watch back at least.
Does. Yeah.
So he's frustrated. So he ends up leaving. He doesn't, he does rough up the husband a little bit, but he doesn't take anything else. He takes his watch back and then he leaves, especially after he sees the baby. So he's on the bus, and this is what starts the rest of the movie.
This is where you get into the Daredevil territory, where you're in a confined area where it's just balls to the wall, no holds barred, giddy action of him on Five Guys?
Yeah,
maybe
that just goes on forever, and it's. I loved that it went on forever. I didn't want this fight scene to end.
It was super well choreographed. You never once didn't know where he was, or you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes that stuff is mapped out and it's all over the place. And it was so well choreographed. He got the bus driver out, closed the door, but there's a girl still in the middle of the bus
who looks like a teenager almost, or
she was
early
just,
20s.
And these guys they're punks.
So so let's set this up. So this is the middle of the night. He's on a bus because before he went to the robbers, he comes home for dinner and his family is still being judgmental towards him, right? They're not talking to him. And then the daughter mentions the kitty cat bracelet. So then he just gets up and he leaves the house. So it's already late when he gets on this bus and there's only a couple of people, as Jeff was just saying. One is like a big guy as well. And so the bus is maneuvering its way through the city street. All of a sudden you see an SUV try to pass it and smash into like a parking barricade right next to the bus.
Yeah, those water-filled barrels.
And these guys just stumble like the Keystone Cops, stumble out of the SUV, see the bus
stolen.
see the bus right next to him, and they're banging on the door. The bus driver is, considering should she open the door for them, and she shouldn't have, but she
No.
does because they're obviously drunk. So they all get on, and like Jeff said, there's about 5 of them, and they're all gangster types. And the big guy gets up and gets off the bus immediately as soon as they get on because he knows that they're bad news.
Yeah.
But the girl does not. The girl stays, and of course they surround her, and they start harassing her. And this is where you hear the inner monologue of Hutch, Bob Odenkirk, saying this girl is going to get home safe tonight. And that's his motivation. That's his entire motivation during this whole fight scene.
Yeah. And this is where the musical cues really kick in. What was this? I Gotta Be Me, I think was playing.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of slow motion stuff going on, but people are getting their heads smashed into poles and he gets stabbed.
But it's gritty. He's taken just as many shots as he's given them.
Yeah, he does get shivved in the side with a knife. This was just crazy. And it just ends with the girl finally, he goes run, and she finally gets off. And then as there's one guy laying on the ground, like choking to death on his own blood, he friggin' gives him a tracheotomy and then takes a straw out of her cup and puts it in his throat.
Yeah,
and he's like, breathe easy, breathe easy. I'm like, damn.
But what really brought me back to Daredevil is the fact that it's not like, one of these classic scenes where it's one guy against a bunch and they all take turns coming at him one at a time.
No,
but that's not the case here. He's fighting all of them, it seems, at once.
Yeah.
At one point, he gets thrown through the bus window, has to regain his breath, after a few minutes, gets up, calmly walks back on the bus, shuts the door, and starts the fight again.
Yeah, crazy. Yep.
But it's a great, great scene. The fact that it's so close quarters, it feels like you're in there with them.
Yes. And if you're not on board with this at this fight scene, then just walk away because it only just escalates.
Yeah. The guy that he gives the tracheotomy to, you hear him talking and he's got a Russian accent. These guys, it turns out, are working for the Russian mob that have their own nightclub in the city.
Yulian is
the head guy.
Yulian. And that was so again, you talk about the opening credits where you see that Monday, Tuesday, the titles, and then after this fight sequence, he goes home, he hangs up his jacket behind you. And I'm like, you might want to wash that thing. But then it cuts to like this nightclub and it says Yulian. And you're like, what the hell's Yulian? Is that like, are they in another country now? Like, what is that? And then you find out it's this guy and he's this Russian mob boss who likes to karaoke.
Yes. Yeah. So
and people politely clap.
So this is his club, right? So you see him and it's one shot, right? So the camera follows him into his club through the front door. He's saying hello to people. He gets up nonchalantly on stage as there's a girl there singing. He duets with her for a minute or two. Then he gets off the stage and he's still saying hello to people. Some guy gives him a dirty look, which he returns. And then he ends up with the rest of his Russian mobsters who are telling him that they're worried about his security because he seems to be so lax. And then he says, "Oh, lax am I?" And he shatters his glass and puts it through the eye of the guy that gave him a dirty look.
Yeah, that was rough.
So you realize that this guy was the boss, or actually the brother.
His brother
of the younger Russian who got the tracheotomy. All these guys after the bus fight are in the hospital. So the Russian boss goes to visit them. Of course, berates them for being beaten by one guy.
And like, who is that? Yeah.
And who is this? Who is this? And one of them grabbed his Metro card. And you see like at the end of the scene.
And does Metro cards really hold that much information?
Well, I assume that hacker that had the Metro card that he delivered that to find out who it was, probably traced it to see who bought it. Maybe he bought it with a credit card. And that's how they figured out who he was.
All right. That seemed a little weird to me, but okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. It wouldn't have worked if he paid cash, I don't think. But maybe they took a shot and he paid with a credit card.
Right. But if nothing else, maybe you could see like where he was. Because again, it goes back to that mundane existence that every day he's in the exact same place at the exact same time. So he's always going to swipe it at the exact same Metro station.
And we already mentioned his secret friend who he talks through the radio in his office at work. And I was reading online that this character that he's talking to is his half brother.
His last name is the same.
They're brothers. So Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd's character, Pop, is their father. And he is in hiding, the character of Harry, because he's like, don't make me come out, to help you. It's almost like he's supposed to be dead and he's really in like a witness protection program of some kind.
Yeah, because like you said, he's just communicating with him with this two-way radio kind of a thing.
Right. So he tells him that you messed with the wrong guys on that bus.
Yeah, really, the Russian mob.
Yeah.
This is where you're going, Hutch.
Yeah.
But that's go back to the Metro card for a minute, because when they do find out his name, they try to access information and you get access denied. So now you realize that this guy may be a little higher notch in some kind of secret military force that we're not privy to yet. And
it turns out that this Russian mobster is the keeper of what they call the Obshak, which sounds like, a really heavy duty Marvel villain, but it's not. They describe it as the 401k of the Russian mob. It's stacks and stacks of cash, of physical money that moves from one place to the other, and it has different keepers over time. So during the events of this movie, Yulian is the keeper of this 401k stash. Yeah. Seems a very risky operation.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little,
So Harry gives him the heads up that he is in danger. After the nightclub scene, we see Harry again at dinner with his family, and he looks out the window and he sees that the Russian mob have figured out where he lives.
Hutch,
parking
you mean Hutch?
Outside. Hutch, yes, sorry. He sees that they're parking outside of his house and they're about to come in. So this is the part where it blew my mind. He's got a panic basement. Some people have a panic room.
No, he's got a panic basement. He's got a safe room. Yep. And then right there, you're like, all right, there's something. Yeah, this is crazy.
So he gets them all into the basement. The door slides shut, like a heavy mechanical door slides shut. So it locks his family into the basement. And I wasn't really sure if they realized that what he was doing or not.
Right.
Like if the wife knew about this room. Or...
See, that's where I was going back to what the conversation he had with his wife after the first fight, when she's patching him up. I got the impression that she knew that this was the life he used to live. But yeah, anyways, so the family's sequestered away. Yep. And then these guys, these mob guys, Russians, and he just takes them out one by one.
Almost. Until he gets tased. I think there's probably 6 or 7 guys that come into the house, and he ends up taking out all but 3. And so they tase him and to incapacitate him, knock him out, and throw him in the trunk of their car. Of course, Hutch wakes up in the trunk, is able to pop the trunk easily. You'd think that they would realize that they have somebody that is savvy in their
newer cars. All have that little tab on the inside now, that neon little tab so kids can't get trapped in there.
So he wakes up, he sees that they're speeding along a bridge, so he can't jump out of the car. So he looks around and he finds a fire extinguisher in the trunk. So he pops the seat down and he lets loose with the fire extinguisher, blinding everybody in the car, and everybody dies in the car crash. But he survives, of course, gets out. During this scene that he starts to say that he was an auditor for the government. And the reason he says auditor was that nobody wants to see him coming. If you're in an office, the last person you want to see showing up is the auditor. So he was an assassin for the government, for various government agencies. And he would take out those that were high up, that were untouchable, that couldn't be arrested. And that's who he was before he got married and tried to put it all behind him.
And you're right. And he gives this little speech to the dead guys on the couch. And then he basically burns the house down.
Yeah. So now he's on a one-man mission against Yulian and the Russian mob. So this leads to Doc Brown.
Doc Brown.
Doc Brown. I want to call him Doc Brown. His father is in danger now because they know that he's in a nursing home. Yeah. And so Harry comes out of hiding to help him as well, but not before a great tense scene where Hutch actually shows up to Yulian's nightclub with a claymore mine that he's put a napkin over. He's just sitting there having steak.
But this is a great lead-in because, like you said, he basically burns his house. He goes and he takes these gold bullions and he buys out his father-in-law. He says, "I want the business." And so now there's this whole A-team type of build-up where he's making these sawed-off weapons and all kinds of other little booby traps. Steals the neighbor's car, so we call that. And then you see the 2 guys come in to take out the dad, and dad's waiting for them in the Barca Lounger, and he takes them out. But then he cut to Yulian, and he's singing this song. This whole time, this musical, cues are going. And he's sitting there eating his dinner, watching Julian sing. And he's got this IED, this, this basic bomb.
So
Yes.
before he visits Julian, he burns all of the money that he was watching for the Russian mob. So Julian is a dead man at this point because the money's
he's like, let's
gone.
retire together, man. You probably have a secret stash somewhere else. Get yourself a little face job, go to some obscure Caribbean island, open up a tiki bar. And Julian is not very happy.
Yes.
But he leads them on a merry car chase back to the factory.
Which it appears that he is only bought for the purpose of taking out the Russian mob.
Yes, basically. Yeah. Just so you could do that little montage of, building out weapons.
But what's great is this is almost plays out like the end of Hard Target, our favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. So he brings them back to this warehouse that's filled with booby traps. And like 20 Russian mob guys are coming after him. His half-brother, Harry, played by RZA, as we had mentioned before, shows up to help him out. And so does his father, Doc Brown.
Completely armed to the gills.
Armed to the gills, very much playing the Wilford Brimley character from Hard Target, right?
Yeah, and at one point he even says, he goes, you brought a lot of guns. And his dad's like, you brought a lot of Russian. And it is just Home Alone to the nth degree. Booby traps left and right. He's got these cannons that are shooting out rebar spears, killing these just
the same thing.
These guys.
The same thing that Rick was impaled by in The Walking Dead in that classic episode, if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah, so he impales quite a few.
The one where he died.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
This soundtrack is just rocking.
I was worried for Doc Brown, though. I thought that
you were waiting,
sure
right?
He was going to get taken out.
Yeah. You can't have you got to have at least one casualty. But outside of Hutch getting the living crap beat out of him, I think the other two pretty much unscathed.
No, Harry got shot in the shoulder.
Oh, that's
at one
right.
point. He got shot in the shoulder.
That's true.
But you always get the good guys always get shot in the shoulder. It's
right.
Never like a mortal wound.
Yeah, no. Hutch had a shoulder shot as well. Yeah.
Yes, he did. But no, he takes them all out. And of course, Julian is the last one standing. He has to be, right? There has to be a final confrontation.
And they're all out. They're all out of ammunition. Are you out? I'm out. I'm out too. And Julian's just closing in on him. So he pulls out that IED and they're like, what are you doing? And he just takes duct tape. And you think that he's like, you got to die sometimes. Someone's got to die. It's like a finger ring string that you just pull to release, like a grenade. So he duct tapes it to the bottom side of this glass table that is apparently very bulletproof.
Yeah. So it's like, a see-through plexiglass table.
Yeah. So he's like full on Captain America with a table. And he just bum rushes Julian and he's shooting boom, boom, boom right into the glass. It's breaking left and right. And he pulls the string. And Julian gets blown to bits. He gets blown backwards. That's where I was talking before, where he's laying on the ground and he's like spitting out smoke. And Julian's just peppered, like his face is half missing.
But the plexiglass saves Hutch because not only is it bulletproof, it's also bomb resistant.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So whatever. Again, I'm in it at this point.
Yeah.
So you just go with it.
So then you hear the sirens coming and Harry and Dad, they skedaddle out of there and Hutch stays to deal with the police. And that's when
he finds a kitten.
He finds a kitten because we didn't say during the interrogation scene at the beginning, as they're asking him who he is, he suddenly takes a kitten out of his jacket as well as a can of tuna fish and feeds it right on the interrogation table in front of them. So you realize a kitten has made its way into the factory, and before the police show up, he takes the kitten and puts it in his jacket. And then he takes a can of tuna. At one point,
before his daughter, when they're curled up in bed, she even said, "Can we get a kitten?" And he was like, "Yeah, sounds good." So he makes good on that. So you cut back then the interrogation room. You're right back to the beginning, and you got these two FBI agents. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Who are you? And he goes, "I'm nobody." And they're like, well, that's really cute, but obviously you're more than that. And as they're not really grilling him, but he's just nonchalantly, he's opened up, he's feeding the cat or whatever. And all of a sudden they both get phone calls. They both get phone call and they just kind of look at him and they look at each other. And next thing you know, he's free. Connections.
earlier on, when he put his family in the panic basement, he did let them out before he set his house on fire.
That is true. Yes.
So
we did not burn the family.
I don't know where he sent them. Usually in movies like this, you go to your sister's house, when the hero has to deal with the bad guys.
Well, like you said, right. So it cuts 3 months later and they're with the real estate agent looking at a house, this mundane existence again. And the phone rings. It's the realtor's phone. And she goes, I'm really sorry. So you see the husband and wife and they're checking it out. All of a sudden she goes, it's for you. And so, yeah, he picks up the phone. You don't hear what's on the other end of it. And he just looks and he goes, does this house have a basement? But the wife actually finishes the sentence. So now you're like a True Lies kind of, she's in on it and they're a little duo team.
Yeah.
So this was so well done. This was very entertaining.
It was. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I just reading a little bit about it before I got into it. I was afraid it was going to be like a Death Wish, really grim kind of a movie.
Right.
It is not that at all.
No. It is gritty. It's gritty. It's like I said, it's definitely a throwback to those kind of 90s. I didn't do a body count, but it did substantial. But they're mostly Russian mobs, so does it count?
While it is gritty, it takes advantage of Bob Odenkirk's comic timing because it's also very funny as well.
Yes, it's very funny. Yes. $16 million budget. And according to what I just saw on IMDb, the box office is already at 21.3.
Really? So it's already made back its money.
Yeah. And we're not alone because Rotten Tomatoes, the critics, it was an 82, but audience score is 94. That's
really
pretty high.
That is.
There are people just that hungry for entertainment in the theater again, or what? I don't know. It was very good.
Not only was the writer that we mentioned before worked on this and the John Wick series, the producer of Nobody co-directed the first John Wick movie. So there's more DNA here between the two. And these filmmakers have not ruled out the potential of a cinematic crossover between the two characters.
Oh, that would be very interesting. That's funny too. We talk about like Bruce Willis and the idea of this guy who, Keanu Reeves was not really action star quality up front.
No,
they really tailored him into that.
Speed, I think, changed all that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Point Break before.
Point Break was a little more, fisticuffs and a lot of running on the beach. There you go. That's very entertaining.
Yeah, I would recommend it heartily. So I think I'm going to go big. I'm going to go 4.25 buckets.
That's exactly where I am.
Yeah. And I think it does warrant a second watch as well. I wouldn't mind watching this again.
I got up this morning and rewatched the last half hour just to refresh myself.
Right.
There might have been some libations last night. So highly recommended.
Yeah. All right. Nobody. Go out and see it. Theater or streaming.
Yeah. I want to find this soundtrack too.
Okay. So let us move on from Nobody. I don't think this next film is going to get 4.25 buckets from either of us. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
So. I don't even know if I put buckets down.
But let's go to the concession stand and we will be back with Jaws, The Revenge.
Pizza!
Pizza! Pizza, pizza, pizza! Everybody loves pizza, and we're now featuring the famous original Tolona pizza. Only the finest and purest ingredients go into the original Tolona pizza, made fresh to your order. And into the oven it goes. Presto, a luscious, hot, crispy pizza. We're now featuring... Hey, wait a minute. Give me another pizza. That's better. Now, as I was saying... We now have delicious, crispy Tolona pizza at the refreshment stand. What do you have? Cheese, sausage, or pepperoni? Take it away!
Okay, we are back, and this is the second Jaws film that we have covered on the show. The first was a 5-bucket episode for
it was.
The original 1975 Spielberg classic.
Yeah. How could it not be?
Now, these films dropped precipitously in quality with each successive sequel.
I think 2 was pretty damn good.
2 was pretty damn good. It was no Jaws.
No, but it was a worthy success.
It was worthy.
Yeah. This is everything that Spielberg established in the first movie. They do the complete opposite in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to build tension and not reveal the shark until now we're going to show you the shark pretty much from the very beginning.
But at the same time, they really, really try to tie in that first movie, like as far as going to flashbacks of the first movie.
Well, because you don't have Brody, who was in the first two, and then Dennis Quaid played Michael in the third
as a SeaWorld employee.
Right. And then this one, we have Michael and Sean. I don't think that they were the original actors, but Lorraine Gray, who played, what's her name? Ellen? Brody? Yeah. She is the star of this.
But you do get as Michael, Lance Guest, the last Starfighter.
Starfighter.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I will say this is on Amazon Prime, and it looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, I watched
impressed.
it on HBO Max, and it was really clear. It was really clear, especially all those scenes in the Bahamas.
Oh, I know the
Beautiful.
clear one, right? Where you're like, sharks don't live in the Bahamas.
Reading a little bit of a backstory about this movie, you're thinking that all these people are just beside themselves having to be in this piece of crap. They're on vacation as they're doing this. I'm sure they're having the time of their lives as they're filming this movie in the Bahamas.
Well, you know the famous quote from Michael Caine, right? Do
you have it there? Do you want to?
I do.
Quote?
Basically, because people want to know why he would be in such a piece of crap. And I have never seen it, heard it's horrible, but I've seen the house that it built, and it's terrific. So I think he was paid 1.7 million for basically 7 days of work.
Hey,
and like you said, he's in the Bahamas. He's flying a plane. So kudos to you, dude. Take that money and run. So this was 87.
87. Yeah.
12 years after the original Jaws, they banged out 3 sequels.
Yes. By all accounts, it seems that MCA Universal was going through a rough patch in terms of income at this time. So they were looking for a sure bet. And because Jaws 3D was a box office success, unbelievably, it was.
Well, that was the 3D, I think.
That really rode that 3D wave. And the fact that it was a Jaws movie, I remember seeing that on opening night, Jaws 3D, with a packed theater.
Yeah.
Everybody wearing those paper blue and red lens 3D glasses.
That's right.
That you were handed.
We're going to be treated. And the shark's going to come right at you.
So that was a box office success. So MCA Universal, they were looking for a quick buck. So they figured, hey, let's do another Jaws movie.
Right.
That'll make us some money.
How many of these giant sharks are lurking off the coast of Amity?
Well, this movie gives the impression that it's personal, that after the first one, that the sharks are mad now, and they're coming back on purpose.
He's mad. He's in a horrible movie. I think did they never realize that the minute they come above water, that music starts? It's like, do you hear that? Every time my fin breaks the water. The opening shot, underwater, the shark's POV.
But I'm like, this is the slowest moving shark I have ever seen with that POV shot.
He's plotting.
Yeah.
He's just waiting for Sean, who's now, this kid was on screen for 5 minutes and I couldn't wait for him to get eaten.
Yes. So we see the grown children or the grown child, because you don't see Michael just yet. Right. But Sean has become the new police chief Brody of Amity, because it's established that Roy Scheider's character, Chief Brody, from the first 2 movies, has died recently of a heart attack, I think. And then
she said heart attack, but then she was like, the shark killed him.
The shark killed him because of his fear.
Because he knew it was out there. It's like, you already killed 2 of them. At this point, I think be like, bring them on. I
know. You'd be like shark hunter #1 at this point in the world.
No, they just killed him off because he did not want to be in this.
Yeah.
He's like,
they offered him the part because they wanted him at least to play his character of Chief Brody in the beginning and have the shark kill him rather than Sean. But no, he said no.
No.
They tried to get Dreyfus back, I read too, and he also said no.
He had better things to do.
But this takes place. He was
probably doing Down and Out in Beverly Hills at that point.
He probably was. Yeah, you're probably right. Because this was what, 86, 87?
87, yeah. 87 it came out.
So this takes place at Christmas. It's not the summer season.
Yes, this is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
This is right up there with Die Hard.
And who would have known? Who would have known?
No, I don't remember that at all. Yeah.
This is actually the first time I'm seeing this. I've never seen this.
You have never seen this?
No. I stayed away from this.
At some point, someone had to have this on TV. It was probably on ABC Movie of the Week.
And I probably changed the channel.
You're like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
But yeah, Lorraine Gray, she does her best.
Lorraine Gary is
Gary,
her
I'm
actual
sorry.
name.
Did I
yeah.
call her Gray twice?
You've
Sorry.
called her Gray, yeah, Lorraine Gary.
apologize.
It's an easy mistake because for years I thought of her as Lorraine Gray as well until I saw some documentary.
Ellen Brody. That's
Ellen Brody.
Yes. She does her best, but it's just she doesn't have much to do until Michael Caine comes along. And he just spends the whole movie trying to get into her pants.
And then she goes in, she does have a few scenes of grief histrionics that she
she does some ugly crying on the ferry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But she's, so Sean's eating.
But let's get to Sean. Let's get to Sean's attack because he is, the police chief, and he gets a call that a log is stuck in one of the buoys. So it didn't seem like it was blocking anybody.
No, correct.
It was a very small log.
I think this log gets credit too because it shows up like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, am I supposed to have? Is this some significance? Is this like a piece of the orca that he's now carrying around? I know.
Is this log going to come back in the Bahamas at some point?
Right, because they cut to it like 2 or 3 times.
An awful lot of foreshadowing, it seems, with this log. So anyway, he has to go.
There's that log again.
He has to go out and clear the log from the buoy.
On what is Christmas Eve or close to it.
And it's really close to shore. So Amity is behind him, and you can actually hear the Christmas carolers as he's doing this. And that's what actually shields his scream. So the shark not only set up this log knowing
that Sean was going to come out.
That Sean was going to come out.
Because I think one of the other deputies had already left for the night. He must have called him in. He said, the shark's on the phone going, But
he also waited until the carolers were out so it would shield his screams.
That's a smart shark.
It is a very smart shark.
Yes.
Not that anybody would be able to come out and stop what the shark was doing.
I think his credit name was Bob Odenkirk.
He was an auditor in the fish world. Yeah.
He's a smart carchargadon. Yes. Very clever.
So first he takes off Sean's arm. And
which is just my arm.
Which he's wearing a raincoat, and you can totally tell that his real arm is just under the raincoat.
Because I think the sleeve was still there, just the arm was gone.
Yeah. So and then the shark bites off the back end of the boat, taking Sean with it, but he's still not dead. This is the longest death scene, I think, in history. So after he bites the back end of the boat off, Sean suddenly reappears in the water and before he's taken down one final time by the shark. And still nobody hears him because of the carolers that are singing. But of course, the body is found. You get the famous coroner's office scene that you usually get at the beginning of every Jaws movie.
Is that the same coroner in every movie?
I don't know. Maybe it was. That would have been great.
Carry through.
But yeah, you don't even get the mayor. You don't get Murray Hamilton. I think he may have passed by this time. I did read that Mrs. Kintner is in there somewhere.
Oh, is she?
I didn't see who she was, but she is in the Amity scenes. In some
I know we brought this up on our Jaws episode, but she still lives in Martha's Vineyard. And if you come up to her and you ask her to slap you like she did Chief Brody, she will happily do so.
She will comply?
Yes,
really?
Yes. Damn you.
For a nominal fee?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you got to tip her, right? She's making her money now.
It's like paying Lou Ferrigno when he signs a Polaroid, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
He cornered the market on those Polaroids years ago.
Yeah.
$30 a pop.
So yes. So we also get, because I'm not sure if they meant the original script. This is fascinating to me that it takes place in Christmas time, that it is a Christmas movie, because they rush film this. I read that every other Jaws movie took 2 years. This took 9 months. They got this out quickly. So they probably it happened to be wintertime and they needed to film on Martha's Vineyard and it was blanketed with snow. So like, okay, it's a Christmas movie.
Right,
so
here we go. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, but this is where Michael comes back for Sean's funeral.
Yes. So
and they refer to him as a doctor, but he's not really, because later on Mario Van Peebles says something to the effect that we're potential PhDs.
They're students, right? And they're doing their thesis or something on conch shells or conch snails.
Yeah, which is
So Michael comes back for the funeral to Amity, and he convinces his mother that she needs to get away and that she has to come back to the Bahamas with him and his family,
which is hysterical. Because she spends the whole movie up to this point screaming, "Stay away from the water." So you're now going to willingly fly to an island completely surrounded by water. And she's having these shark nightmares where she's swimming and it's chasing her.
But he does convince her it's warm water Great whites do not like warm water. We are completely safe. Just get
Yeah.
away from Amity.
Yeah, that's a red herring right there.
Because obviously you're not safe in Amity.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, okay. Well, just stay away from the water.
Yeah.
But we did have him at one point. He's having this, and then he just starts running on the beach. Like he just like they're having a conversation and he just starts running away. And I'm like, there's a missed opportunity to just kick into Chariots of Fire theme song right there. But yeah, so she goes with him.
Before she goes with him, when they're on the beach, I think she has a conversation with Michael and says to him, it waited all this time and it came for him. It's not the same shark. The shark has died at the end of every single Jaws movie. So this is a brand new deal. Nobody waited. Nobody waited.
It's in shark lore right now.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about the evil guy that killed Uncle Bruce. We must exact revenge.
We must
this
exact
time,
revenge.
It does say right on the poster, this time it's personal. This time it's really, really, really personal. What was it? Jaws 19 and Back to the Future 2?
It was Jaws 19.
And I believe it was Spielberg's son, Max, that got movie credit as the director. Yeah.
Yeah. Although that always upset me, that scene in Back to the Future 2. I thought that
poking fun at your shark.
Marty was too dismissive of the Jaws lore.
Still looks fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that first one I don't care. Jowls and all, it's a scary shark. I
Yes,
would not
it
be
is.
in the water with it. This one, on the other hand, I don't know.
This looks like it came straight from the Universal Studios.
Yes,
ride, this
I
shark.
think the Universal ride shark is scarier because, like I said before, this is everything they do in this movie is complete opposite of what Spielberg set up.
Yeah,
and I get it that a lot of it had to do with the limitations of the shark actually working, but it works to such great effect. But here you see it's like a camera's mounted on his head.
and it's like every time you see it, it's all the way out of the water.
Yes, yeah.
Oh
yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, pectoral fins, the dorsal.
Yeah,
He's like Jabberjaw at this point.
It's like a raft for some reason. When you see it, it's swimming on top of the water. Its entire body.
Yeah, the shark itself is bad.
But you brought up before I cut you off that Michael has a young daughter.
Yeah, I don't even remember her name now.
But they made a big deal about her in the credits because they said the introducing and then the actress's name.
And then what has she been in since?
Yeah.
Nothing.
But you also get introduced to the character of Hoagie.
Hoagie, what a great name.
It's too bad Hoagie didn't smoke on a stogie throughout this entire film.
There you go. I think the shark at the end had a hoagie sandwich. Almost.
And it was so creepy. You get introduced to this character of Michael Caine playing Hoagie, who's flying the Brodies into the Bahamas.
Is that the only way you can get to the Bahamas? Is in a personal Cessna?
Is in a personal little plane, and he brings the little girl up onto his lap. Yeah, come sit on Hoagie's lap.
Is that a hoagie in your pocket? Yes. So now we go to the Bahamas.
So now we're in the Bahamas, and Lorraine Gary is freaking out because the little girl is swinging over the water because she's still having PTSD, of course, from Sean's death. And you know what's weird? Not only were they foreboding with the log, but they played ominous music when they showed the wife's artwork.
It's called The Tourist on the Loose was the sculpture that she was making. And I couldn't decide, is it supposed to be representative of like a shark's mouth or like a female body part?
I don't know.
Because it was some weird, it was playing some kind of weird music.
They played foreboding music, so I wrote a note here saying that I bet this piece kills the shark at the end.
Which would have been better. It falls into the water
and decapitates the shark. It didn't happen.
They bring in Hutch and he turns it into a weapon. Yes, Hoagie did want to make a sandwich with Mrs. Brody pretty early on, though.
He did. And you know what's funny is that there's a scene where Mrs. Brody and her granddaughter, the little girl, they're building a sandcastle. And during the whole scene, Mrs. Brody has some kind of psychic connection with the shark as well throughout the film.
Which is completely, she knows it's on its way.
She knows it's on its way. So she's staring blankly out into the ocean as she's building this sandcastle. And during the entire sequence, you see Michael Caine rowing towards the beach because he's coming off the boat that he was on. So, and he's in the background as the camera's changing angles until suddenly he's there. So I'm thinking to myself, what is he thinking to himself as the director is asking him to row slowly to the beach? What the hell am I doing out here?
Right.
I'm Michael Caine. I'm Michael Caine in a Jaws film. What am I doing?
Named Hoagie. And then he does have that line where he says, "Sharks come and go, Ellen. People got nothing to do with it." It's like, that's not true. Otherwise there'd be no movie.
But yes, he is trying desperately to get into her good graces.
Yeah.
They go to the Junkanoo, which also features heavily in Thunderball, the James Bond film. which takes
Oh.
place in Nassau in the
Yeah,
Bahamas.
which is where this is. Yeah.
So takes her to the Junkanoo, and of course she's having PTSD flashbacks throughout the thing. She's having flashbacks to scenes that she was not a part of.
Well, at one point she even says she recites his line at the end of Jaws when she says something to the effect
Smile,
of
smile, you son of a bitch.
And I'm like, did he go back and like tell her? And then I said this.
Hey, I'm sure that's his favorite story to tell.
Right?
Around the
I'm laying
dinner
there in the
table.
water, and this thing's coming right at me, and I see the tank, and what am I going to say? What am I going to say? This is what I said. But it was a PG movie, so bitch gets blown up.
That's what they should have had a flashback to, him telling that story at the dinner
Right
table.
again, and the kids are like, really, Dad? Again.
And everybody
Again?
rolling their eyes.
And
Yeah.
did I tell you the time that I killed that other shark with a power cord cable?
Yep. Because she has a flashback to that too.
Yeah.
That scene.
Yep.
It's all fun. It's all in
Yep.
fun, right?
Yeah, it
Talk
is.
about
I still
sus-
can't believe that this is the first time you've ever seen this movie.
It is. It
No,
is.
I haven't seen it in quite some time, but
It's a competent film, right? It's very beautifully shot.
yes.
You could sit there and watch the backgrounds and be content as you're watching this
And
movie.
like I said, especially on this 4K, remaster.
This actually made me relaxed as I was watching it,
you were lulled into a happy place.
especially Mario Van Peebles' accent. It was
Oh,
it's like
We didn't even bring him up yet.
no.
Yeah,
What was his
Michael's
character's
Michael's
name here?
partner. I don't think I took names down. I can't even find a little girl's name.
Jake, that was his
Jake.
name.
Oh, that's right, because Jake, we do think that Jake is taken out, but
So he is like complete with a Rastafarian accent, dreadlocks, throughout the film. I think that the accent comes and goes, to be truthful.
Thea, that's the little girl's name.
Thea is the little girl's
Thea.
name. Okay.
Yeah, because there is that scene with Michael and Thea where they're at the table and they're making faces at each other, which was a direct throwback to Brody when Michael was little in
And
Jaws.
If you didn't get that,
They actually
they showed you the scene.
Right. Oh, just in case you're wondering what we're referencing here.
the actors were competent, right? You got Lance Guest, who you get good vibes from him anyway because of The Last Starfighter. His interplay with Mario Van Peebles is funny. I was amused by that. You got to think Michael Caine is funny every time he shows up.
Yes.
But there's no, like you said, there's no tension. This is not scary at all.
No, and I think outside of Sean, no one else dies.
No, the girl on the back of the banana boat, she gets eaten.
That's right. Yeah.
Two
Damn banana
casualties.
boat.
Two casualties.
Two.
So we're talking about Mario Van Peebles. The first time that he sees the shark, he's underwater.
So now we want to just give up our research on these conch shells and just concentrate on this shark that shouldn't be here at all.
Right.
Meanwhile, Mom's like, I told you he was coming.
Michael at first says, "Don't tell my mother about the
That's
shark."
true. That's right. Don't tell her. She was right. I hate when Mom is right.
So once the banana boat scene happens, of course, this is like an Alex Kintner scene where the Thea goes out, asks her mom, "Can I ride on the banana boat?" as Mom is dedicating her big art piece on the beach. Yeah. Go ride on the banana boat. There's a motorboat that's trailing this inflatable banana with 4 people on it. And unfortunately, the shark attacks because he knows that Thea Brody is on that banana boat, but doesn't get her. He manages
a
to
middle-aged
get
white chick.
the woman that's sitting on the back who gets eaten.
I will say the 90s shoulder pads were in full effect on this.
Yes, they
movie,
were.
too. Ellen was rocking that crap.
Before the 90s. So this movie saw
87,
it coming.
yeah.
It saw it coming.
There you go. But Ellen ends up stealing her son's research vessel.
Yes, everybody's mad. Everybody's mad at Michael because he kept this information from them. What, you knew there was a shark? This is worse than the family browbeating poor Bob Odenkirk and nobody. So Mrs. Brody steals Michael's boat, by herself goes out to have a one-on-one confrontation.
Yeah, I think
with
she's
the
going to
shark.
sacrifice herself.
Hoagie's very worried. Michael and Jake are very worried. They go out in the plane looking for her, and they find her. And they also see the giant shark that's circling the boat.
Yeah,
So what
because
does
they're in the
Hoagie do?
Bahamas, so this guy can't. There's nowhere for the shark to hide.
So what does Hoagie do? He lands his
the
plane.
Did he not
in
see
the
Jaws
water.
2?
Did he not see Jaws 2? And plus the fact that they now have to get out and swim to the boat.
Right. Yeah.
And I was hoping that this was coming, and it does. So you do get the money shot here of Jaws eating the plane as Hoagie is still inside.
And you assume that Hoagie is, bit the big one. Yeah.
But nope. He has survived somehow.
Which is great because when they pull him up on the boat, he's completely dry except for his hair. Like he wasn't wet. I'm like, he's that cool.
And
Michael
earlier,
Caine.
Jake's character manages to plant some kind of a heart monitor on the
A
shark.
tracker, yeah, something.
So they're
Like-
able to track it by its heartbeat, by a TV set that's on the boat. And so they lose it at one point. And then Michael Caine says, Hoagie says, maybe it has indigestion. It just ate my
Right.
plane.
Maybe he had a heart attack. Indigestion. He comes back,
He comes back, yes.
grabs Jake. Jake falls right into his mouth.
Jake. And Jake is in his mouth, just like in that publicity shot of Spielberg in Bruce's mouth.
That's right, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, somehow he survives that.
And what's funny is that Jake seems to gingerly place himself in the mouth of the shark when he actually does get taken. It's like, in slow motion. Yeah.
But this is where we get the beautiful shark roar.
Yeah,
Oh,
which
this is-
I think they took it from the 76 King Kong. That was
No,
very reminiscent.
You know where, I'll tell you exactly where it was taken from. The sound editor was so incensed that they wanted to put a roar to this, like you said, it doesn't just come to the surface. It's 3/4 of the way out of the water. And they realized that they used this damn sonic, I don't know what, whatever it went off, it would create this, emit this sound that would make him mad, and he would roar. He roars like 3 times, which sharks don't make noise. It was pulled from a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
It was really.
It was pulled from a Tom and Jerry cartoon. And I'm like, that is genius. Because even as a kid, you look at this and you're like, that is the most ridiculous thing. But you just got to notch it up. So he roars. And they just, every time he comes out of the water, they're like, here we go. And they just shish kebabbed him.
But this is ridiculous because
Because he
when
blows up.
when he takes Jake's character off the front of the boat, Jake is all the way out on the front of the boat on the mast of the boat. And so the shark, although you don't see it because you just see close-ups of the shark, close-up of Jake, close-up of shark, then suddenly Jake's in the shark's mouth. The shark also broke the mast off the front of the boat, so it's just like a jagged
Splintered,
spear.
yeah.
Lorraine Gary is the one to kill the shark. She rams the spear, the mast, into the shark
While he's 3/4 of the way out.
while he's 3/4 of the way out of the water. So it gets him right in the heart, right? Or wherever a shark's heart is. And as Jeff said, it explodes.
Because that's what sharks do. That's what happens to sharks.
And
I think they took footage from the first and just kind of cut it in. So,
Um,
so there you go.
if you don't see enough correlation between this and the ending of the first Jaws, you have to get a throwback to the scene of Roy Scheider saying, "Smile, you son of a bitch," and then boom, the explosion.
Yes. This was money well spent. $3.99.
Hey, yeah, and Michael Caine, if he gets 2 cents of that, I applaud him for
That
his
is
role.
true. He's probably
as
still getting
Hoagie.
residuals.
Yeah.
Yep. Bruce the Shark was nominated for a Razzie for this. Why they called him Bruce? Because he's not Bruce.
I wonder if the other sharks of Jaws 2, 3, and 4 got their own names. I don't know.
I guess in the novelization, there's a whole backstory about the voodoo witch cursed the
Yes,
shark.
I read this, that an early version of the script, this is what they based the movie tie-in novel on, and that there's a reference in the tie-in novel to a possible voodoo curse on the Brody family because of an argument that Michael gets into on the island with a voodoo priest, and they put a curse on his family, and this is why the shark is coming after the Brodies.
That I buy. It would be more plausible. I'd be like, all right, we're going down that road, but okay. They also cut a whole subplot about Hoagie smoggling drugs, which is probably a good thing. We don't need
Because
to
he
get...
does say at one point they do mention that Hoagie, what else do you do other than shuttle people on and off the island? He says, I deliver laundry, which is supposed to be a reference to laundering money.
Huh.
So, but they never
Interesting.
took that anywhere else from
No, that's
beyond
fine.
that line.
Yes. The only other fun fact I came up with, which was a lot of this was filmed in a water tank. And because it's supposed to be in the Caribbean, they had to taint the water blue, and it would stain Caine's and Gary's hair.
Really?
It would turn their hair blue.
I've got a fun fact
Okay.
that there are 2 endings to this.
What?
That the shark didn't explode in the original theatrical ending. What happens is that the shark is impaled by the mast of the boat. So that's the same, but it doesn't explode. It just, floats into its bloody death in the water. The audience didn't like that. They thought it wasn't spectacular enough.
So we
So
had to blow it up.
a new ending was filmed for the European version of the film where it explodes after it's impaled by the mast of the boat.
So if I saw this opening day in the States, that's the ending I would have gotten?
That's the ending you would have gotten. The explosive ending was also released on video. So the only way that you could have seen the original ending was in the theater when it first opened and on pay cable. Now, the version that I saw, even though I saw it on HBO Max, it was the explosive version. And that didn't see the light of day again, that original ending, until the Blu-ray was released in 2016. So that has both endings.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is more spectacular.
I like the explosive ending. I think it adds that extra bad cheese factor.
We're all in on the cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Is this even bucket worthy?
Here's another, a couple more fun facts I had before we get to buckets. This was the first Jaws movie ever released on DVD. So this rode the DVD wave. Because I think Universal, wanted to remaster the first Jaws, so they didn't care about Jaws: The Revenge, so they just put it out there, a bare bones disc.
I don't think the third one is available in 3D. Is it?
I think it is. I think you can get a version on 3D. Well, you could when the 3D TVs were all the rage. Right. I don't know if you can get it now.
Interesting.
This was Lorraine Gary's last acting role. She has not made anything since. And it was her first since 1941. So she made 1941 and 79. Wasn't in anything
I thought you meant
else.
the year 41.
No.
Wait a minute. She was in 70. Okay.
So
the
movie
1941.
She made the movie 1941 with Spielberg in 79. Didn't make anything else until she came on to Jaws: The Revenge. And then that was it. After Jaws: The Revenge, she was out.
Well, she went on a high note.
I guess she did. Yeah.
She's like, I can't top this. We're done. Mic drop. I'm out of here.
Yeah. It did actually make its money back. It was released July 17th, so the middle of the summer season of 1987.
A Christmas movie.
And dropped in July.
Okay.
Because most of it does take place in the Bahamas, so you could fool yourself into thinking it was a summer movie. 23 million budget. It made 51 million at the box office.
All right.
A little bit of profit, at least.
That's
so
all they were hoping for.
Jaws: The Revenge. So I thought it was a fun watch. I wasn't aggrieved that I was watching it. I would give it 2 3/4.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2.5. It's been quite a while since I've seen it, and like we said, the remastering does kick it up a notch.
It is not scary in any way. Again, it is like riding the Jaws ride at Universal.
It is cartoon shark all the way.
I'd probably give it less if it weren't for Michael Caine, if it weren't for Hoagie. I think Hoagie saves.
Hoagie elevated it.
He actually couldn't pick up his Academy Award for Hannah and Her Sisters because he was
filming this.
Because he was filming this movie. He was saying that he remembers this as the movie that, 1, paid for his house, that 2, which he was working on when he won an Academy Award, and 3, he had a great vacation. So he has nothing but fond memories of making Jaws: The Revenge.
Good for him, because the rest of us don't.
But now that I've seen it, I don't think I need to see
you don't need to rewatch it. You don't need to. You can't unsee it. Oh well, so there you go. It is available on Amazon Prime.
Yes, it is. Or if you have HBO Max, it's on there too.
Yeah, everything's on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Boy, we got to get into Falcon.
Yeah, let's move on. Episode 5. We're only one away now from the end of the show.
I know. We are fast tracking this. This was the longest episode.
Yes, it was. I was surprised by the length of this episode.
No, there's a lot going on here. Yeah, Truth was the name of the episode. And we get a lot of truth.
Picks up almost exactly where the last episode leaves off. With
Johnny Walker running away.
Yeah. And Sam and Bucky hot on his heels to get that shield out of his hands.
Well, we just saw the guy murder somebody in the middle of the square.
And you also get a tough scene where it's almost like he breaks both of Sam's arms when he rips those wings.
Not only lose Red Wing in this, but now we lose the wings. Like the entire Falcon costume is now gone.
So Falcon, like going into this episode, 5 minutes in, Falcon is no longer the Falcon. Sam is... Yeah. Like you said, Red Wing gone, wings gone. So, Sam
and this,
have left?
And this, we just talked about these fight sequences in Nobody. This was very reminiscent of the 3-way fight scene in Civil War with Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man. to a lot of extent, but it made me there's no way John Walker kicks their ass, and that made me mad that these guys could not even hold their own against it. And then I get it that he's enraged and he has the super serum. I feel like Bucky's really kind of like stepping back, like he doesn't wanna, he's kind of like Hutch. He's like, I got these abilities, but I don't really want to use them anymore. So I'm going to go light on you. But it was a great fight sequence. I mean, it was crazy.
And it's almost like watching Infinity War, where they're trying to get the gauntlet off of Thanos' hand.
Yeah, because they're trying to get the shield away from him.
And they actually break his arm to get the shield off. I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
do what you got to do. Get that shield.
It's pretty rough. We talked about Falcon's before his suit is torn apart. He makes an Iron Man repulsor like sound effect at one point, and I'm like, has that ever come from that suit?
From the wings? I don't know.
It was I don't think it was from Bucky's arm, but it was very obvious that it was Iron Man's repulsor. That this fight sequence is again well choreographed, and it looks nice, but I didn't for a minute believe that he could somehow take these two out.
Yeah, and as we said, break the wings off, and Torres shows up, Sam's buddy.
Yes, which is because Torres, we mentioned it in an earlier episode that Torres does at one point in the comic series become Falcon.
And Sam says to him, what are you going to do with these wings? And Sam says, keep them.
Keep them. Yep. And now Sam has the shield.
Zemo is also handed over. I was a little disappointed with that because I was expecting him to come back in a bigger fashion.
So we can get into that if you want to talk about that, because first of all, he's in Sokovia at the memorial for the people that were lost during the Ultron thing. And Bucky and Sam find him, and basically he's completely surrounded by
just Bucky finds him, right? Sam doesn't go with him. I'm sorry, you're right. Just Bucky. Right. Yeah.
So the Wakandan women come, Dora Milaje.
Yep.
And they take him, and there's a ship parked right there, and it's like, did Zemo not see this thing parked right next to the memorial?
They're stealth experts in Wakanda, so
apparently
you could have easily sneaken up on.
Here's the interesting part, which is the fact that they mentioned they're going to take him to the raft. And that is a facility that's it's like a lockdown facility. We saw, I think, in Civil War when they all got locked up. Ant-Man.
But that's not a Wakandan facility.
No, it's not. But it is run by General Thunderbolt Ross. And any comic book aficionados will know that Thunderbolt Ross sets up a secret superhero group that turns out to be all bad guys, run by Nemo, the little fish.
Nemo.
I don't know if they're setting up Thunderbolts.
So this is confusing to me. Why would they want him so badly and not take him back to Wakanda?
Take him back to Wakanda. They just want him locked up. Yeah, that does seem like a little bit of a misstep. I don't know. But that is my guess is they may or may not. They've done a lot of work in this. We brought up Elijah, who may or may not become Patriot in Young Avengers. They've now introduced his character as.
I just appreciate the fact that they incorporated Zemo's like furry costume.
Yes.
With his coat in the series. Yeah. So there's a little bit of the classic Zemo look, especially when he had the mask on.
Yeah. Before we get to Isaiah Bradley, though, because that is a huge emotional scene with Sam. We get John Walker is now under arrest, and they bring him to trial, and they basically they don't give him a dishonorable discharge. They called it something else, and I don't know, other than honorably discharged. And he's like, you made me. I've done nothing but do exactly what you wanted from me. But he killed somebody. Why would you just dishonorably discharge? Wouldn't you be like locked up in jail? And when he's getting out of the car and he's walking up, like he looks like Kurt Russell now to me. Like there was a lot of Kurt going on there. But then we're introduced, I guess he has a wife.
Yeah, which you never even heard before.
Correct. Because I'm like, who is this woman? But that turned out to be his wife. And then we're introduced to Julie Louise-Dreyfus's character, who is this Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. She did say, you could just call me Val. And if you don't know who this character, well, first of all, she knew he took the serum. So she's connected in some way, whether she's connected with the power broker or if I don't know what's going on there. But this character goes all the way back to like the 60s. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Nick Fury comics that Jim Steranko wrote.
Yeah, it almost seemed like it was like a flipped side of a flipped version of Nick Fury, where she's recruiting, it seemed, John Walker.
Yeah. Well, she's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who later becomes Lady Hydra.
Oh, okay.
So whether she's already in that role or not, but when you cast a character like this with a well-named, like the minute you see her, you're like Elaine from Seinfeld. Like it takes you out a little bit. Interesting. Yeah.
But the fact that she wants to recruit somebody that's obviously not in his right mind,
correct,
she doesn't have the best of intentions.
Yeah, and he's like, they don't know what it's like to be Captain America. And I'm like, neither do you. You've had the shield for like 48 hours. It's not like you've lived it for the last couple years. So that was interesting. So they set that up. I don't know if we'll even see Walker again next episode. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true at all. We get the end credit scene.
Yeah, we do.
So now, we are going to see him again. Sorry.
Now, apparently, Marvel had to do a bit of flipping of its own because we were supposed to be introduced to this character of Val in Black Widow. And so this was not meant to be the first time we see her, but they had to flip it. So now we get her debut in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
So she will be in Black?
Apparently, she is in Black Widow. Yes.
Will she reintroduce herself?
Hopefully, yes. Her full name. I want to hear that. I want to hear it. Yep.
Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
But, obviously, Black Widow is a prequel, so this is going to take place before the events.
She better look a little bit younger. But we also get Carly takes her group and they go back to their hideout. That was already, like, that's a stupid move, right?
They've raided the hideout, and why they wouldn't think that they'd come back, because obviously they did.
Yeah, they did. I guess, she had people, I guess maybe okay, it's safe now, you can come back. So well connected.
So this is kind of like a tying loose ends kind of episode in a way, because after you get that big flourish fight scene, there's a lot of exposition going on.
Yeah.
And we also get, well, let's talk about the Isaiah scene, the transition, because I don't know what Sam's intent was. He brings the shield to Isaiah. And again, it's so funny when he's carrying this in the shield case, because everybody's going to know what this is.
Sure. And, somebody even says, is that what I think it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. No, it's a pizza.
No, it's a large pizza cutter, a pizza stone. So again, he tries to have a discussion with Isaiah, and you learn even more horrible things about what's happened to him. And the fact that he's even living where he is because of a kindly nurse that declared him dead.
Yeah, so he's off the radar, and that's why Bucky didn't really rat him out.
Yeah,
but this is so heart-wrenching, and you just see, they're at. I think in a lot of ways, Sam feels the same way. Because Isaiah says to him, he says, no self-respecting black man would ever want to be Captain America. And Sam's like, well, crap, because I'm now being kind of forced to take on this role. He said they erased me. They erased my history. So that was very interesting. This is such an amazing character that I almost want to see. I mean, this episode, Truth, is based on his story, which was a comic series. It was like a mini series that kind of told his years as Captain America. I would love to see that play out as a mini episode series, just to fill in this guy's backstory.
Right.
Very interesting. So, but then we get Sam going back to his sisters, and you get this buddy cue the feel good community coming together, kind of, let's build this boat in the montage with the sister, and you got Bucky flirting with her, Sarah.
And my favorite part of this episode was the scene where one of the pipes on the boat is like leaking steam or leaking liquid, and Bucky goes to tighten it with a wrench, and he fixes it, and Sam asks him, why didn't you use the metal arm? Well, I'm right-handed.
Yeah, I don't always think about it, but this was like, this montage was like, are they gonna like go full on pottery wheel ghost scene here with it, Sam's like cuddling the two of them together? But we get this box. Who gives this box to Sam? Where did he get the box from?
I think he got it from Io.
Because I'm like,
Because it was from Wakanda. The box was from Wakanda.
That's right. Yes, yeah. And you're like, what's in the box? And I'm like, it can only be one of two things. It's either going to be Gwyneth Paltrow's head, or it's going to be the soul of Marsalis Wallace. I'm guessing it's probably a new suit, a Captain America suit made of vibranium.
I was hoping it would be a new set of wings, but yeah, I think you're right.
Because he's now.
I think you are right. Imagine that if he had like a Black Panther type suit, but like, but
he's
as
gonna
Captain America.
He better have goggles. That's all I want. Little goggles on the top of his head at the end of this.
Because what is it? The Black Panther suit absorbs kinetic energy.
Yeah.
And so if he had a suit like that, but like made up in the Captain America.
But would it glow purple when it gets hit? I don't want it to be purple. Captain America's not purple.
Red, blue, white.
Yeah.
One of those colors, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shuri knows what to do. Come on.
I know. I wish we had Shuri in here. Just one little scene. So, and I really thought that Sam was somehow setting up Bucky to take the shield, but that is not the case. We get that this extended montage of him training with the shield. And you see this thing coming back at him, and you're like, you don't really think about just that. Look like it could do some damage.
Yeah.
If you're
and
not
he's
going to catch
catching it.
that.
He's catching it barehanded at one point.
Yeah. But this is also where we get this nice little discussion with him and Bucky. And he's like, dude, you need to figure yourself out. And he goes, I've been, you got to make amends. He goes, you're not amending. You're just avenging.
Really sad that Christina is not here, because we get what amounts to a reveal.
Yeah, this is, you're talking about Sharon?
I'm talking about Sharon.
Yeah.
And because you got to assume that she is the power broker at this point.
Unless she's playing both sides, unless she's still somehow deep undercover working as a SHIELD agent who just pretends that she's disgruntled. But I don't think that's a lot of layers right there. Or she could be a Skrull.
She releases Batrock.
I know. I love this guy.
It sounds like a Masters of the Universe villain.
I love this guy. The minute you see him, you're like, Batrocks. Yeah.
So again, this is the guy that had that great fight at the beginning of Winter Soldier with Captain America on the boat. We also saw him in the first episode of this show, the aerial fight in between the helicopters. That was almost like Godzilla versus Kong jumping on from ship to ship. So now he's coming back, and he wants revenge.
So, but she released him to what end? To join Carly's group, or to?
I believe so. Yes. So he's joining Carly's group. To what end? I'm not quite sure.
Right, because isn't the point the power broker wants the serums back that they think that Carly still has, but are now been destroyed?
Right. But Batrock makes it clear that he is only there to kill the Falcon. That is his main agenda.
So if he becomes Captain America, he's like, I can't kill this guy. He's not the Falcon.
He's got to kill Torres.
I changed my name. And you got to kill Torres.
Yeah.
Torres gets he gets the suit for like a day. Batroc kicks him off the building. So yeah, at the very end, he does open the case, and you don't know what's in it.
At least they could have made it big enough to carry the suit and the shield.
Right?
It should be a little bit bigger.
Double. Yeah, he's got two pieces of luggage to drag around.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
It's a nice case, though. I'd like that case.
Right?
Yeah.
I think there's some graded comic books in there. I think that's all it is. CGC 9.8 Cap America #1.
No, it's a full set of the first 12 Star Wars figures. Yeah.
Now I definitely want that case.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, when we get like 9 minutes of credits, they just go on forever, but we do get a nice little teaser at the end that John Walker is not done yet. So they didn't arrest him for killing the guy. And he's left on his own devices, and he takes his little medals, and he's forging himself a new shield.
But it's not vibranium, so
no. Oh, it's going to pale in comparison.
Yeah.
But he still has super serum abilities. Yeah, we're going to have a showdown here at the end. I hope they don't kill him.
Yeah.
I don't like this complete and utter fall from grace. I would like to see this guy, try to get rehabilitated. Maybe he does become the U.S. Agent.
Yeah, that seems to be where they're going with him.
Yeah.
Even for that's a weak name. I don't like the
U.S. Agent.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have a contest come up with our own name.
Yeah, maybe we can.
So, yep. So there he is.
McCready. That's what you should call him. Or Captain Ron.
Captain Ron. That's a deep cut right there. You wonder if these actors sit down and share these movies that they make with their kids.
Well, I
Like,
think
really,
that they,
Dad, I got to watch this other movie you made.
I think
Yeah.
they probably make these if they are parents that, okay, they can't watch The Thing. They can't watch Escape from New York. I'm going to make this Captain Ron so I
That
can
does
have
happen.
something
You're right.
to show my
You
kids.
do hear that sometimes. You're like, I needed, to make a movie that my kids could actually watch.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, my dad was a captain.
And even they hate it.
Right. So what'd you think?
Yeah, I don't want to watch this again.
I hope you got a house out of it. Jim, do you realize what next week is, actually?
This is the beginning of our 4th season.
That's
week.
crazy. This is it. 3rd year, done.
Yeah. This episode is our season finale.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Jaws the Revenge. Thank you very much.
At least we're not pushing like Manscaped or something.
Well,
Jaws the
and
Revenge is our sponsorship.
And at least we did get an over 4 bucket review with nobody for our season finale
that is
as
true.
well.
That is
Yeah.
true. This is about what you get every week here. So what are we doing next week?
Next week, this is a throwback. So we are not covering a new film next week as our main feature, but we are covering a sometimes overlooked feature, a favorite of both of ours. So I'm kind of laying our cards out, but I can't wait to see it again. The Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, Live, Die, Repeat was the original title. Yes, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt.
Mhm.
Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is in this movie.
The original Mary Poppins?
Emily Blunt? Mary Poppins Returns.
The
Come on.
Returns.
Yeah.
I'm like Julie Andrews.
That would be awesome if she was.
The hills are alive with the sound of aliens.
And
and
even better news than
This
Edge of
is-
Tomorrow.
This is why Christine is not on the show this week or next week.
But this can be considered a listener request
It
because Christina's husband, Chris, has been obsessed with this movie since we discovered Tubi. So this is Prisoners of the Lost Universe.
Well, I have no clue what this is, but Richard Hatch is in it.
Richard Hatch is the star of this film.
Yes.
I don't even know. I don't even know what year this is.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. It is on Tubi, so it can't be good. We're in.
Who knows?
We are honoring this listener's request.
Somehow, I think that maybe this is a less competent film than Jaws the Revenge was. So this could be even worse.
Or it could be better.
It could be better. Who knows?
Listen, we embrace the cheese.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So
So,
and then
again-
last episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
So
Can't believe that it's already over.
yeah. Well, it's not yet. We still got one more episode. All right. Well, let's see how it goes. This is the start of season 4. Will it be a good start? I guess you'll have to tune in to find out. All right. Cool. Well, thanks
All right.
for listening.
Yes, thank you.
It was go watch Nobody right now.
Yep.
Highly recommended.
Worth your $19.99.
All right, kids.
bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Hello, everybody. If you liked the podcast you just heard, then please follow TMI on all of our social media outlets. First and foremost, email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com. That is tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
And you can follow us on Twitter at TMI_podcast2018. Stop over, say hi, give us a compliment. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well, which is also TMI_podcast2018.
And of course, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/TMI Podcast 2018. And it should be noted, we also have a community page, so join the forum.
And if you like to watch YouTube, you can see us at TMI Podcast 2018, all one word. Look for the popcorn bucket.
Popcorn bucket. Or you could just go to our website, which has every link there, TMIConfessionalspodcast.com. And we'll see you at the concession stand.
We'll save some popcorn for you.
Oh, Michael Caine in a Jaws film. What am I doing?
Beady, 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 beady.